When does the boiling sap become real maple syrup? According to New York State Grading Law 947, maple syrup must be at least 66 bricks or 66% sugar to be finished maple syrup. The appropriate sugar percentage can be determined with a thermometer, a hydrometer, or a syrup refractometer. To finish syrup with a thermometer, the boiling sap needs to reach 7.1 degrees Fahrenheit above the boiling point of water. This will give you just 66% sugar. For a little insurance, you may want to allow the syrup to finish at somewhere between 7.2 and 7.5 degrees Fahrenheit above the boiling point of water. In Vermont, the syrup must be 66.9% sugar, or 7.5 degrees Fahrenheit above the boiling point of water. Why do we say above the boiling point of water instead of saying 212 Fahrenheit? The boiling point of water varies with elevation and with the daily barometric pressure. Consequently, you need to check the boiling point of water daily and add the determined difference to be able to properly finish syrup of density with a thermometer. It is not unusual for thermometers to be off a few degrees. The main way to check a thermometer for accuracy is to place it in ice water for a while and see if the reading is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. That number is constant. The freezing point of water does not vary with elevation or barometric pressure. An incorrect thermometer, or one that is difficult to read, can lead to significant errors. Being 1 degree too low will result in a weak syrup that tastes thin and is more subject to mold. 1 degree too high can result in a syrup that will form crystals of rock candy in the container. These crystals are commonly thrown away with the container. This is a significant loss after all the work. A good thermometer is important, and there are many choices. A digital thermometer can greatly help in making the readings. The hydrometer is a simple way to test boiling sap that is getting close to being syrup. A syrup hydrometer will have 2 red lines. When the hydrometer floats so that the upper red line is even with the flat surface of the syrup, the sugar content should be 66.9. Why 66.9? Because most hydrometers we use are made or designed for use in Vermont. Hydrometer charts are available for any desired adjustments, or for taking readings at temperatures other than hot right off the boiler. If you are using a hydrometer to measure syrup at a temperature other than hot right off the boiler, you will need to test the temperature of the syrup and adjust the readings from a chart like the one shown here. A refractometer for syrup can be used, but works best with cool syrup. Readings right off the boiler are often cloudy and difficult to read. Conclusions concerning testing the density of finished syrup. 1. Know the calibrated reading temperature of your hydrometer and calculate necessary adjustments from a chart. 2. When using a thermometer to finish up syrup, always base temperature adjustments on the present boiling point of water. If you are a backyarder planning to use your syrup only for yourself, you can get away without filtering syrup, but expect the lower parts of the jars to be very cloudy and contain a significant sediment of sugar sand. Sugar sand is a collection of minerals that settle out of the sugary solution of maple syrup. It is not harmful, but it is not attractive. Filtering removes the sediment, making a clear maple syrup. 3 main methods of filtering are commonly used. A very small producer may use a filter as simple as a coffee filter. Most will use a set of cone filters, the top one of paper, the lower one of felt or of similar material. A set of flat filters can also be used. Even these filters may not do a sufficient job for filtering if the syrup is to be displayed in glass. For larger producers or those wishing to sell in glass, a filter press is preferred. The paper filter catches the larger particles, while the felt catches the finer. When the paper filter plugs, it can be replaced often without changing the felt. All filters should be washed with plain hot water. Do not use detergent, as aromas from the detergent may stay with the filter and then give the syrup a detergent-off flavor. When stored, filters should be kept dry and open to the air. They should never be stored with mothballs or other material that could pass off flavors. Filters should be washed before their first use. Cone filters can be placed over a tall pot and clipped in. However, the old milk can is no longer suggested, as lead solder was used in making them in the old days. The flat filters allow for greater filtering surface area. The paper and felt should each lay on their own grill or screen. They function better if the paper is not actually laying on the felt. These pictures represent the range of filters available. When you have finished filtering the syrup in preparation for canning, there are a few more important steps. The syrup needs to be heated to at least 180 degrees Fahrenheit, but not all the way to boiling. It is then poured hot into the container, leaving only 1/4 to 1/2 inch gap between the liquid and the lid. Screw the lid on tightly, and turn the container on its side or upside down. This ensures that all surfaces of the container are sterilized by the hot syrup. After a minute or two, return the container to the upright position. If the seal is good, the syrup shall now be stable at room temperature for an unlimited length of time. Storing syrup in a cool place reduces the amount of darkening that will occur following canning. Refrigeration should not be necessary until the container is opened. Laws regulating maple syrup. If you make it for personal use and do not sell it, there is no regulation. If you sell maple syrup, there are 2 laws that you need to follow. These are regulated by New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets, the label law, and the grading law. The labeling law simply says you need to label the product maple syrup, list your name and address on the container, and list the grade. The grading law, manufacture, distribution, and sale of maple syrup and sugar, Circular 947 states, every consumer package shall be plainly marked as to grade. Grade A table grade, Grade B cooking or reprocessing, and substandard grade. Density must be at least 66% solids by weight at 68 degrees Fahrenheit. The label light amber, medium amber, and dark amber are classifications of grade A. They are not required, but most consumers find them somewhat helpful when making a purchase. If you place a classification on your syrup, it must be correct. Classifications are determined with a color grading kit. Your sample must be lighter in color than the kit samples of a given classification. For example, your medium amber syrup must be lighter than the medium amber sample in the testing kit. Remember, sap exposed to warm weather often makes darker syrup, and syrup usually becomes darker as the season progresses. The most commonly available color kit is the Vermont grading kit. The only difference with New York here is that New York does not have a lower limit on the grade B as represented in the Vermont kit. Your maple syrup can be made into many different maple confections and gift items. Maple cream is one of the favorites. Making confections all comes down to how much higher you make the sugar content by additional boiling. Additionally, the natural mix of sugars in the syrup and how fast and how far the syrup is cooled before it is stirred or other products are added influences which confection you create. This is another whole presentation for another time.